Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. This is part 2 of 3 videos that I'm making for anyone who wants to start a garden, and it's really such a beginner videos. So this is gardening for beginner part 2. If you haven't seen part 1, please go back and watch it because I covered everything that you will need to get your garden going. And in this video, I am covering how to plan your layout and maximize your gardening space so that everything is efficient and you feel like your garden is so full and successful. First of all, you want to make sure that your gardening space, this is an outdoor space, okay? We talked about the indoor space for starting your seeds last week in the first video. Today we're talking about your outdoor space. So first of all, you want to make sure you're close to a water source. Obviously, you need to water your plants. It's a really good idea to have a very long hose so that it's convenient for you, and it's also a great idea to have a hose head, like a gardening shower head, so that when you water your plants, you can choose the setting so that you have just a little bit of water coming out, not too much pressure on the plants. If you have a drip system in place, that is awesome. It's going to save you a lot of time and your plants are going to love it. For the last 2 years, I haven't had a drip system. I was watering my plants with my hose and it was a lot of work. So this year we installed a drip system, which I will talk about much later in another video. But for now, just make sure you have a water source close and convenient to your gardening space. Based on your gardening space, how big or small it is, you want to plan out where you plan to plant what. It doesn't have to be like a set in stone plan. My gardening space, alhamdulillah, is huge. My entire gardening bed is like 6 feet deep by 55 feet long, so it's huge. And for the last 2 years, I have never once felt like I'm running out of space. So the first time I gardened, I wasn't really mindful of where I was placing what, and I end up with plants all over the place, and that was really not convenient for me when it came to watering, harvesting, and cleaning and all that. So even if you have a big space, try to work with one piece at a time until you fill it up and move on to the next piece, so that your life is much easier later on when you're trying to maintain your garden. So because my garden is 6 feet deep by 55 feet long, I'm doing 6 feet by 6 feet at a time. So if I fill my first 6 by 6, then I move on to my next 6 by 6 and so on. So how do we plan how much we can fit in a certain space? Today for this video, I'm gonna stick to the 6 by 6, like 6 feet by 6 feet space. So you can kind of take that as your example and make modification based on your space. So step 1 is you wanna understand how much space you need per plant. I know this is a gardening for beginners, so you may have not had a garden before, or you don't know how much space do you allocate for a tomato plant versus a zucchini plant versus an onion plant. Obviously, all of them are different sizes, so what you want to do is do some research as far as how big does a tomato plant grow at the maximum, and make sure you plan ahead and not squeeze the plant with so many other plants around it. So you want to do that research and give the tomato plant a lot of room. When you plant it, it's going to seem so little, but you want to give it some room because it is going to grow and use up the entire space. You can find a lot of that information on the back of the seed packet. So if you just flip the packet over, it will tell you how far you should be spacing each seed. And that's usually a very good way to start. But if you want more of a visual understanding, I love Pinterest. If you go on Pinterest and you do garden layout or zucchini plant in garden layout or tomato plant, you'll find a lot of information. I already found a few and that I thought they were so helpful. But the thing is, whatever you find is not gonna be 100% applicable to you. So you wanna take some time to sketch out your own based on what you plan to have in your garden. So I'm gonna do a quick example with you right here on my board, just so you can see how much you actually can fit in a 6 by 6 space, because if you're a beginner, that may be all you need for this season. So first, kind of sketch what your 6 by 6 would look like. Excuse my very not straight lines. Obviously that's already not looking like 6 by 6 because it's kind of cricket. But what I like to do is draw my square, and I like to just give it some dimension. So I know this is 6 by 6. I'm gonna just split it really quick so I know this is 1 foot. So I just put these marks around to help guide me as to how much space I need. Okay, so you guys, you can fit so much in a 6 by 6 square. So let's just say we wanna plant zucchini, tomatoes, cucumber, bell pepper, and green onion. That's 5 plants. We use them all the time. So just based on my history, this is just me having a garden for the last couple of years and doing some research on Pinterest. I know that a zucchini plant grows so big. So I want to give my zucchini plant a 3x3 space. So I'm just gonna come here and make like some dots. So I know out of my 6x6, I want to give this to my zucchini, and this is where my seed would go, or my small plant. And then at the end, it's going to grow to be this big. It actually is going to take that much space. Okay. Next, let's do some tomatoes. I know for a tomato plant, to be safe, you want to give it about 1.5 foot by 1.5 foot. So just to overestimate, I'm gonna do 2x2. So I'm gonna do the same thing here. Let's say this is gonna be my tomato plant in the middle. And then my tomato plant is gonna look something like this when it grows. And then I said I wanna have some cucumbers. Cucumbers are slightly skinnier than tomatoes. So that's more like 1x1 or 1.5 by 1.5. So I'm gonna put it next to the tomatoes and I'll go like this. And this is my cucumber, okay? And then I said I want to have some bell peppers. Bell peppers take about the same space, if not less than the cucumber. So I'm going to put it right next to it. I'm going to make it come here. So this is my bell pepper. Okay. And then green onion is actually very skinny and very little. So I'm going to squeeze my green onion over here. These are all little seeds that will sprout to green onions. And there you go, that's a green onion. So as you can see, everything that I mentioned I would want to plant, I was already able to fit them in my 6x6 space. And look how much space I still have. Like, I have plenty of space. So I think I'm gonna add some peas. And I know that peas grow against the fence or against the wall. So I'm gonna use this back rail to plant some peas. So these are all peas. Okay, that's actually a lot of peas, just so you know. So you need to make time to harvest them and cook them or whatnot. Let's see, I also want to plant some herbs, like just some of the herbs that I use. And with herbs, I just like to have just one bunch because they just regrow over and over again. And once they're successful, they really do give you a lot. So you don't need more than one plant, at least not for us. So let's see, this is gonna be like cilantro, parsley, basil, and maybe arugula. And I like to put them by the edge because then it's easy for me to like harvest on daily basis and just include them in our food. So I kind of like that. Let's see, what else do I want to add? Maybe I'll add some green beans. So green beans like to grow in a bunch. They like to be planted really close to each other and they grow to be about this tall. So I'm gonna put them behind my herbs right here. So these are all my green beans. I'm planting them really close to each other. They really like that. Right here. And as you can see, we still have a lot of space right here in the middle. Okay, so enough planning for now. The point is, I want to tell you that it's really important to figure out your spacing, because here we were able to fit, I think, like 10 or 11 types of plants in a just 6x6 space. So if you're starting a garden for the first time, no matter how big your backyard is or your space is, you might want to stick to something this small so that you can maintain it, and then you'll also still get a variety of everything. I mean, as of last summer, we were a family of 3, and this would have been like perfectly fine quantity wise. Like we would have gotten plenty of vegetables from this, but we did have so much more. Like we had, I think, 4 tomatoes and 3 zucchinis and 4 cucumbers. So the point is, take some time to coordinate your garden so that when you actually take your little seedlings outside, you can have them all fit in one space. It's easy for you to maintain, easy for you to water. And the good news is, you are gonna have plenty of time to figure this out, because once you start your seedlings, they stay indoor for a good few weeks, like 4 to 6 weeks, until the weather is right and you're able to move them outside. So you will have plenty of time to make those decisions. For example, my first year of gardening, I could not be successful with tomatoes. Like I didn't have any tomato plants and they kept failing. I hope yours doesn't fail, but the point is, once you have your seedlings grown, like you have your little plants, you will have a better idea of what needs to move. Like let's say you end up with 2 really good zucchini plants and you really want to plant them both, then you can revisit your plan and give 2 spaces to your zucchini, because you know you want to keep those 2 zucchini plants. Does that make sense? So you can always like have a rough draft of something like this, but once you have your actual plants all successful and ready to move out, you can make the decision what you want to keep and what you want to give away and where you want to plant what. And that's it. That's all you have to do to plan your garden. I hope you guys found this video informative, and I hope you did watch part 1, and you will subscribe to my channel and wait for part 3. It's coming out next week, where I will talk about how to start with seeds and how much you should plant and how to care for them and everything around that topic. So if you're not subscribed to my channel, please do so you don't miss out on that video. Thank you so much for your time. I'll say bye for now, and I'll see you next week. Bye.